hope it's working on us.
But we're poorer than poor.
Hello and welcome to this Monday's edition of Movie News. Yes, welcome back. We were caught on camera earlier there. Glad the sound wasn't on. We were swearing, cursing and slagging people. No, we weren't. I was only kidding. But thank you for joining us once again here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream. We are on Twitch, aren't we, John?
We are on
still
Twitch,
there.
yes.
Still hanging about like a...
Stephen, we've had some comments on Twitch.
Like a little job it won't flush away.
I was doing some digging on Twitch. We've had some comments on Twitch, but due to the nature of Restream, which we were using prior to Streamlabs,
no
whatever it is,
yeah.
No notifications, but we now have a dual sort of
folks.
chat. So if you're speaking on Twitch, we will try to reply.
Accommodate. Yes. Hope you all had a very Merry Christmas as well. Went in like a flash, but here we are. It's now the 28th of December. We're just counting down the days till the new year, John. I take it we're going to be doing another top 10 films of 2020, which is going to be very interesting. What does that sound? Oh, that's me. Right, there's a bit of a delay in the sound there. Wow, okay.
It's going to be hard to do a top 10 of 2020, Stephen, because I've hardly watched any movies.
Well, that's the thing, you know, and
new movies.
We normally do a best and a worst. I don't think we'll be able to do a worst.
Netflix, top 10 Netflix movies.
I could really go through I could pick probably 10 bad films this year and try and watch them, but I'm not going to do that, John. We've not got the time. I think perhaps maybe we will be doing a top 10 best films of 2020, which is going to be very interesting. Tenet will be certainly, but I think that and Kevin Bacon one we watched at the cinema.
You should have left.
The Hunted, or whatever it was called, I can't remember. Was it The Hunt, was it?
The Hunt, yeah, The Hunt.
I'm just thinking of the ones we actually saw in the cinema before lockdown. There wasn't many.
Yeah.
But it'll be very interesting.
Isn't Mulan?
The Invisible Man as well. Mulan, yes, it's in there as well. So
there's a few.
Yeah, there is a few, John. So
and Wonder Woman.
I'll have to start thinking about that, and we can maybe compile something for Wednesday, who knows, for a pre-recorded show for New Year's Day. If you're up for it.
As I'm tucking into steak pie.
Yeah.
Guinness.
Well, that was the thing, John. When we did the pre-recorded Christmas show from the other day, which thank everyone who watched that. We know that you get better things to do than hang about on YouTube on Christmas Day, but thank you for the people that did watch it. It was interesting.
Hang about on Twitch.
It was interesting, John, when that was going out. I was probably on my 5th glass of wine and probably my 3rd bottle of beer at that point.
Yeah, well, I was on over half a bottle of champagne and numerous bottles of beer, and I was trying to get it to upload, and it was not uploading, Stephen.
Yeah, you messaged me saying there was a bit of a nightmare.
I was ripping out the very little hair I've got left.
I think I was comatose by the point I saw the message, but I'm glad we did a pre-recorded. It would have been an absolute shambles to do that live. We are bad enough live without being intoxicated by alcoholic drinks. But anyway,
drinks, please.
John, we're going to move on with the show. Don't normally do this. We normally just batter right in here. But as you can guess,
this child has clearly had rum.
Yeah.
Or gin. Yeah. Sorry, gin.
But
that's me, it said rum.
The thumbnail, obviously, we're going to be talking about Patty Jenkins. We're going to be talking about Wonder Woman as well, John. When I was going through the topics earlier to choose for tonight's show, it was all about Wonder Woman 1984. Now, unfortunately, we don't get this film here in the UK.
Yes, and I'm not pirating
for a while. We know all the big hitters on YouTube have already reviewed it smugly again. This reminds me so much of Parasite. Maybe not as extensive as what we had to wait for.
Jokes
Parasite.
on them, Stephen.
Yeah, well, it is. Apparently, it's not doing too well. But John, I'm going to hang back and I'm going to wait until I see it myself, and then I'll make up my own mind, because I'm still looking forward to it. I don't care what people say. You know, a lot of critics out there can get it wrong. You know, it's subjective.
Well, they certainly got it wrong with a number of movies in the past, even The Joker, notably. Or Joker.
Yeah.
They hated on it. They says it was dangerous. It was inciting violence.
They were all wrong.
They were all wrong.
Yeah.
They were wrong then, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. In the words of Marty Feldman. But John, Patty Jenkins returning to direct Wonder Woman 3. This is coming in from Screen Rant. Surprise, surprise. I'm just going to read. Yeah. Patricia Jenkins, director of the first 2 Wonder Woman movies, will return to direct Wonder Woman 3 after facing multiple delays over the past year since its initial release date in November 2019. The highly anticipated DCEU sequel, Wonder Woman 1984, is finally out. No, it's not. Not here in the UK, it's not. The film is to release in selected theatres and on HBO Max in the US, and the same say a plan that Warner Bros. Will apply to all of their 2021 movies. Director and co-writer by Directed and co-written by Patty Jenkins, the sequel sees Gal Gadot reprise her role as the titular superhero set decades after the events of 2017's Wonder Woman. Diana is now living in Washington DC and working at the Smithsonian. The film also introduces comic villains Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, and Barbara Minerva/Cheetah, played by Kristen Wiig, while reuniting Diana with her resurrected love Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, while the end of the Wonder Woman, while the end
so
of
good it requires a prefix.
Wonder Woman 1984 does not necessarily promise a sequel like most superhero franchises do. There was also already speculation about a third film before the release of the second movie. Gadot recently shared that she is up for doing a third installment in the franchise, but only if Jenkins returns with a good story. You doubt your director, gal. But what's your views on this, John? Because
my views are that gals get a cheek.
Well, I think so. She wants to stay in her level. She wants to not get above her station. But
she's got her own
John,
action franchise.
We kind of knew that Patty Jenkins was going to finish off her trilogy, so it's not really breaking news or anything. It's been confirmed, but I'm glad that something's came out and it has it's got some kind of officiality to it, that she is coming back to bookend her trilogy of Wonder Woman films. Yeah,
Stephen, look, the first thing I think of when I hear this is complete disappointment, really. Not in the sense that I'm disappointed that Patty's coming back to direct the conclusion of this Wonder Woman trilogy, but disappointment in the sense that just a week back or so, I was praying that Patty would walk away from Warner Bros. For do a James Gunn, but the power is in her hands, not in the executives. Walk away, force them to change this ridiculous strategy they have, where they're releasing movies jointly on the streaming service, the HBO Max, and in theatres, sort of consecutive, what was it, concurrently, yeah. I wanted her to try and force the hand. Clearly the open letter from Chris Nolan and the open letter from Denis Villeneuve and the criticism from James Gunn and a whole array of other actors, directors, producers involved with this studio, it's not made any difference. So if you can get a director like Patty Jenkins to walk away from her own baby, her own creation, everybody knows that there's no other director on the planet can direct and finish this story with Diana Prince.
Sure, yeah.
So she would have had the power in her hands to walk away, force her hands, maybe have a change for the good for the exhibitors, the theatres, the theatres that she so-called loves and wants to protect. Of course, she came out and urged people to go to theatres if they could. So that's my one sort of, that's the first, I don't know, reaction I have to it. That she could have maybe have made a change here. She could have walked away and then came back with all the power in her hands, forced some change at the studio. We know that, is it Legendary? I can't actually recall. And the week that's went, my brain's so comatose from drinking. I think it's Legendary Entertainment who funded Dune. We know that they're forcing change. That Dune is looking to be going into theatres. She could have forced widespread change as well, in conjunction with the likes of Nolan, Villeneuve, if they really made a stand. But look, Stephen, aside, I'm happy. That aside, I'm happy she's coming back and finishing this trilogy, because as I says, no one else can really do the trilogy, can really conclude it, other than Patty Jenkins. And it was almost a foregone conclusion she was going to come back and direct this. There's just this sort of symbiotic relationship between her and Gal Gadot. There's talk that I think she's doing a Cleopatra movie with her as well, so they seem to have that connection, much like your man, I think I'm blanking on his name, Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg. I don't think it is Peter Berg, but Peter something anyway, and Mark Wahlberg. They've done the likes of Deepwater Horizon, Patriots Day. Chris Nolan with all of his
Peter
actors.
Weir?
No, I'm not sure, but I'll look it up.
Yeah.
But you've always had that actor-director relationship throughout the decades with Hollywood, and this is another one. So I'm not surprised she's coming back, but I just wish she'd made a stand and maybe force some change, because she seems to just be parroting again and again. She loves the theatre. She wants to save the theatres. Yeah. She's not happy. She gets slipped $10 million, and now she's just slipped right back into Warner Brothers, and she's going to make a third blockbuster movie with them. So that's my one takeaway from it. I'm going to search this guy up. Peter Berg, I think it is.
Yeah, I hope you get it right, John. I've not really much more to add to that, John. I kind of
It's Peter Berg. Yay!
Yeah, Peter Berg. I kind of just echo your sentiments there because I think she'll move on from this. There's no doubt about that. I know we were talking about Cleopatra maybe about a month or two ago. That's her already, mentally moving on. To sort of break away from this trend of these films. But I think once we see the second film, John, we'll make up our own minds whether or not a third instalment is really necessary. That's just a common trend in Western society that you have to have trilogies or, trilogies of trilogies and stuff like that. Not many films or franchises do duologies in this neck of the woods anyway. But I think, just the sort of early feedback just now, it's not really sort of setting the heather alight. But I'll wait and see. I'm looking forward to seeing it anyway, John.
Steve, you're not intrigued to... So I've not really delved into the negativity surrounding Wonder Woman 1984. The initial reactions and reviews, as they always are from these sycophants who want their access to the red carpet and to premiere events.
This is it, John, yeah.
They were overwhelmingly positive. Now we're seeing some negative things coming out from people like the Critical Drinker on YouTube. The usual suspects are coming out and really destroying it now. So I'm very intrigued. I don't know about you, to see what maybe the cause is for that. I've not seen the movie. It's not out over here officially. Of course, you could get it in some dodgy manners. You can maybe...
You tried to say, John, that the shills are taking the hump.
Yeah, I think they are. Yes.
Well, sod them.
Yeah.
They're not getting the red carpet treatment. We don't get it, so why should you?
They're not getting it this year.
Well, this is the thing,
No
and
one's getting it.
I think, that's the thing as well that we've noticed. There's been common trends over the last 4 or 5 years since we've really been taking an interest in what we do and really delving into sort of the
inside baseball of Hollywood and all
and the sort of
sycophantic press.
Yeah, and that way where you see trends
and
with certain critics, etc., and people that are reporting on these things. There's a lot of YouTubers that are the same. You can just tell that they're soup takers. That's the word for them. But
that's the definite word.
I think I'll wait and see, John. I always like to I don't really like critics deciding on whether I like a film or not.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I'll read them and I'll see what their perspective is, but it's all subjective. I'll go in there and I'll make up my own mind. I'm looking forward to it. It's not going to ruin my anticipation to see this film, and when I do, then we can talk about it. But a third instalment, John, they talked about it before this film's release anyway, so it's not come as a major surprise that they're returning again. But if they're going to do it, then I'm glad to see Patty Jenkins is involved.
Yes.
We're going to move on, John, to our next topic. It's all about the anniversary of the passing of Carrie Fisher, sadly. It's been 4 years.
4 years, yes.
Unbelievable. And this is coming in from Screen Rant. It's actually coming in... I was actually watching... Carrie Fisher was trending on Twitter yesterday and the day before, obviously the build-up to the anniversary. And obviously her mother as well, who passed away the day after that she'd passed away. But this is Mark Hamill and Billie Lourd, her daughter, remembered Carrie Fisher on the anniversary of her death. Now, I'm just going to read a little bit of this, John. I'll get your thoughts in a little moment. However, Fisher tragically passed away in December 2016, well before the second trilogy instalment, The Last Jedi, arrived in the theatres. Fans in Hollywood were rocked by Fisher's death, which was closely followed by her mother Debbie Reynolds passing. Leia appeared in both The Last Jedi, which was dedicated to Fisher, and last year's The Rise of Skywalker, which adopted unused footage of Fisher's to complete Leia's story. Yesterday marked the 4th anniversary of Fisher's death, and tributes once again popped up across the internet. Hamill, who played Fisher's on-screen brother Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars franchise, simply shared an image of The Last Jedi's dedication to Fisher with the words "Always with us." Fisher's daughter Lourd has routinely shared sweet tributes. Her mother posted a photo of her with Fisher online and wrote that she is sending my love and strength to everyone out there that's missing a loved one they've lost, especially those of you who have lost someone during this crazy year. Yep. You're not alone. Both posts can be seen down below, John. I've seen them. I follow Mark Hamill anyway on social media.
That's a great little tribute, isn't it? Beautiful.
It's one of the better things about The Last Jedi, was paying that respect to her. Also, that being her last film, The Last Jedi...
It's kind of tragic in a way.
Carrie Fisher wasn't the issue on The Last Jedi, though. She was one of the positives, along with Mark Hamill. And obviously that photograph as well, that's a great photo. It's obviously in England, I think it's in London, judging by the taxi in the background. But it's a great photo, and you can see the resemblance as well, can't you? You can see that's a young Carrie Fisher there.
I felt so bad, Steve, for Billie Lourd, because she lost her grandmother and her mother in the space of
2 days.
2 days. Horrendous time for any individual. And for her to have the power and that sort of, I don't know, spirit to come back from that. She shared a house with them. To lose two close loved ones in such short space of a time, I think that speaks volumes about Billie Lourd. So hats off to her. Kind of changing the skewing it away from her own personal tragedy to somebody else and saying, look, if you've experienced this, even in this crazy time of this year, 2020, horrendous year, worst of my life, then I think that speaks volumes about her. She's such a mature, level-headed young woman, and
I like her.
I'm looking forward to seeing her career blossoming, because I actually liked her little cameo in the Star Wars movies. I want to see her doing more and more. But I thought a really nice tribute to a great woman, let's be honest, not just in terms of what she played in Princess Leia, because she had such a rich and diverse career after that. She was a writer, she was a script doctor, and she was just another sort of present figure in that sort of area of Hollywood. We've seen the documentaries, the guy trying to get into her house. She had such a witty way about her. She was just a one-off, man. And also tragic way she died. She didn't even get to see her last movie, and it's never good when someone dies of a heart attack so suddenly, is it?
Exactly, John. I always remember the news filtering in, and it was maybe about I think it was Boxing Day, 26th of December 2016. The news came through that she had suffered a heart attack, but she was in a stable condition. Actually, Debbie Reynolds' last tweet was, Carrie's in a stable condition. Pray for her or something.
So far off his screen,
and it kind of puts things into perspective, John, how precious life is as well. You know that one minute that your mother is actually sending out the vibes. Pray for my daughter, and then within the 48 hours both of them are away.
Terrible.
And it was shocking at the time. So I've got all the respect in the world for Billie Lourd and the way she's dealt with that over the last 4 years. And I think the whole Star Wars thing's probably helped her psychologically as well. I think it's been therapeutic for her to be on set and in the presence of all the people that worked with her very closely, the likes of Mark Hamill, who's badly affected by it as well. Obviously that sad news. Harrison Ford is another one, worked with her for so long, over the decades.
And revealed by Carrie had an affair during the Star Wars heydays.
Maybe about a month or two before her passing, but The Last Jedi, for what we say about it, John, and we will get into that in our next
Harrison.
Our next topic as well. Carrie Fisher wasn't the problem in The Last Jedi. I loved all her scenes, especially the scenes with Mark Hamill. I thought it was probably the standout scene, that Luke and Leia reunited. The Rise of Skywalker, on the other hand, was they did what they could. They could only do what they could do. It was always penciled in as Leia's film. Han's was The Force Awakens, Luke's was The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker was going to be Leia's. But sadly, Todd Fisher, that's her brother.
He just trumpeted it to the world. It was so great, this footage.
John,
I think terrible.
I think the tinted specs are probably on because it was his sister. I can't really fault
back
for
on
that.
The screen, I suppose. But it was
the excitement of that. But I think for outsiders like ourselves, it was built up a little bit too much. And when we did see it, don't get me wrong, the technology of the rotoscoping was fine, but the chemistry just wasn't there. Yeah. You knew that.
I feel so sorry for Kelly Marie Tran, the Rose Tico character. As bad as that character was in The Last Jedi, for her to be saddled with, and I don't want to be crass here, but a dead character, a dead actor for the entirety of the running time, it was terrible for that actress. She's acting to nothing, and then it's supplanted in, and it was just soulless.
It was soulless, and it was almost like those characters you get in a GTA or Red Dead Redemption, where you walk up to them and they start talking to you, and you can walk away and they're still talking to you. I've done it time and time again. That's what it felt like. No, but it was just something not natural about it. And you're absolutely right, John. I'm just going to move on now to something that's kind of coming into The Last Jedi anyway. It is our next topic, but it kind of just blends into what we were talking about there. and it's Star Wars writer wrote a script to fix The Last Jedi.
This font is killing me, Stephen. Have I screwed that up, or does that actually say fix over there? Does you think that says fi?
It says fix, but it looks like fick.
Looks like fi.
It looks like fick.
God, this font.
But we're trying and testing things before the new year, John. You can change it. You can always change it if you're not happy with it. But Star Wars novelisation writer Alan Dean Foster came up with a Star Wars 9 treatment that he thought would have fixed Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. I'm just going to read a little bit of this coming in from Screen Rant, John, and I'll let you in.
Speaking, where you are, Stephen.
I'm just under the headings Mandalorian Luke Skywalker Honours. We're speaking with Midnight Edge. The author candidly shared his thoughts about the sequel trilogy's middle entry, calling it a terrible film. This motivated him to write a follow-up that would address some of the controversial story points in The Last Jedi. That included coming up with a different explanation as to why Rey is suddenly so powerful with the Force, making her part droid. It's crazy. I would have bought into that though. He also gives He also gives Luke Skywalker a different death scene that one in canon. Unfortunately for him, Abrams' The Rise of Skywalker was already in production when he finished the script, which was why Lucasfilm no longer entertained it. This is what he had to say.
Really, only why they never entertained
This is what he had to say.
It's just that Rey was a droid.
Yeah.
I may have had a big bearing on it.
It just wouldn't make. Do you know something, John? When I was reading that, I was thinking of that episode of Red Dwarf, the one where they were going through the reality bubbles, and one of them was the unreality was that Lister was a droid, and no one had picked up on this, and he was actually a worse model than Crichton, and Crichton took the hump to this that I'd been serving him all these years, and it turned out he was a lesser model than me.
And the cat,
but it was unreality, and it was just that way. I always remember watching that, thinking, "What the heck is going on?"
Stephen,
that's the kind of thing I would
some
have
of the writing in Red Dwarf was second to none. Actually, better than that shit show served up by Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi.
Possibly, John.
Definitely, Wax World episode was up there.
Yeah, give the guys a budget at Red Dwarf, and they would do wonders with it. But this is what he had to say. Episode 8 was out. It was a done deal, and I went and saw it, and I thought it was a terrible film. I thought it was a terrible Star Wars movie, and there's no need to go into why, because every fan already has. I thought, how can this be retconned? How can we fix as much as possible from episode 8 and a proposed episode 9? And I wrote a partial treatment for that, attempted in that storyline to explain a lot of the really silly things that happened in episode 8. At the end of it,
I like to cut this guy's jib.
There's a big battle in Coruscant with the Emperor's clones. I also managed to provide proper motivation for the character that forced Boyega to fall in love with. I give her something proper to do that justifies her character. At the end of the film, Luke is dying under a tree, and Rey comes out, and Luke's last words are Aunt Beru, which brings the whole thing full cycle. Oh, that's a bit weird. I liked... No, I don't like that. I liked episode 7 very much. I thought it set up a lot of really neat things that were never addressed in episode 8. I agree. I hated episode 8, and I thought episode 9 was good, not great, but good. No, it wasn't me. I agree with 50% of what you're saying there. There had to be some kind of story to retcon a lot of things that happened in episode 8, but this thing about Luke under a tree, talking about Aunt Beru, thinking that Rey's Aunt Beru, but she's actually half droid. Whoa, no.
He's got too much of his father in him.
Yeah.
He can't keep him here forever. He can't stay here forever. Terrible.
Yeah.
We had enough of that horrible, overdubbed shit show of an acting performance. We don't need more of that crap. And later movies.
Perhaps the lady that actually played her out did a good performance and a good delivery, John.
Yeah.
It was the overdubbing that ruined it.
Little Mo from EastEnders sort of overdub performance from the actual actor. God, I'm not an overdub, sorry. Her actual, she was sort of like your man Prowse, but she was actually outside a suit of armour.
Yeah.
So everyone could see her horrendous delivery.
Unless that was a skin suit.
Yeah. Well, everything else was false and hollow about it, Stephen. So couldn't make it any worse if it was. But Stephen, not a great script. Let's be honest. Not difficult to see why they maybe stuck with the Rian Johnson script. Bad though it was, little tangents off the Canto Bite that went nowhere, slowed the whole movie down, made it 25 minutes longer than it ought to have been. just everything else.
25 minutes they could have used on Luke.
Yeah, exactly. They couldn't. That's. I'll go off on a tangent here. Speaking about tangents, that's the one thing that always rubbed me up about The Last Jedi. We had enough time to look at this little strange boiler suit character, Rose Tico, crying over a sister no one gave a shit about. We've seen this character for a minute, if that, in the movie. They spent about 5 minutes on her grieving some meaningless character, forced romantic sort of side plot for Finn that no one gave a shit about, even knew about. They wasted time on that, but they couldn't give us Luke Skywalker mourning for his great friend Han Solo. Two characters we actually cared about, who had an emotional attachment to the actual actor, to the fans and the audience watching. One of the worst parts about The Last Jedi, that for me, but even then, I'd take that Rian Johnson script over this. Aunt Beru, Luke dying under a tree and having a hallucination with him seeing Aunt Beru. God awful, man. And then Coruscant. It would be nice to have went back to Coruscant, but we're getting Emperor's clones again. Again, one of the worst parts of Episode 9, the Emperor clone thing. Terrible. Rehashing this great villainous character. Great performance, even though it was from me and McDermott.
Yeah.
Terrible retconning shit. Destroying the original trilogy. So no, I'm not on for this script. I hated Rian Johnson's movie, but there was little moments in there that even I have to admit I kind of liked. The spark, Luke meeting with Leia again.
You talk about Boyega's character in The Last Jedi and how it was such a far cry from the potential we got in The Force Awakens. The Rise of Skywalker never sorted any of that. It was glaring issues before the production started on the third instalment of this trilogy, and they still didn't fix it. They made Finn a little lost puppy in The Rise of Skywalker, shouting Rey every 10 minutes, and he then hooks up with another lady.
Naomi.
The one that's playing Whitney Houston, why? You know what I mean? Just wasting time here on such a great potential.
Because they felt compelled to give the character a bone, fling him a bone if he'd like he was a dog in the dirt. And that's what John Boyega's great was. That's why he absolutely destroyed Disney afterwards. He was horrified at the treatment of the character. They bummed him up to be a potential Jedi, to be a co-lead with Daisy Ridley, a trifect sort of lead with her and Adam Driver, and in the end he was just a joke of a character.
And they couldn't even commit. That was another thing about J.J. Abrams, is sometimes his writing doesn't commit to things. It leaves things very open-ended. In the case of Finn's Force abilities, did he have it, did he not? It wasn't a... Sometimes these things have to be on the nose with a lot of audience members. I got it, but if you're a casual fan, you're not really familiar with the Force and stuff like that and Star Wars in general, you get into that film, you will not have a clue what all those little moments are all about.
Stephen, I maintain, Final Find, they picked the wrong lead actor. They put their sort of... I'm about to say a terrible analogy and I'll completely backtrack out of it because it's going nowhere, but they picked the wrong leading actor. Daisy Ridley is not a good actor. She isn't. She's terrible. Her line delivery in The Last Jedi was terrible. It was even worse in The Rise of Skywalker. They picked the wrong actor. It should have been John Boyega. He's a much better actor. He's got much more potential. His character was more likeable. It was an interesting plot for that sequel trilogy. A defected stormtrooper who lost touch with sort of what the First Order was, their lack of morals, if you like, their morals. He'd lost his way with that. He went away. He was scared of them. For him if he could have then rose up and became a beacon of hope, the sort of leading figure for the new Republic, whatever the hell it was called, the Resistance. That would have been a better storyline than what we ultimately got with Daisy, his character, obviously Rey.
That was her first feature film, was The Force Awakens, John.
And it showed. She was crying on the set because JJ was destroying her for wooden acting, and it never really get better. And her other performance in what the hell was it? The one with Kenneth Branagh.
The train one. Mother and Experience.
It wasn't a great performance in that either. And then she's got another movie with Tom Holland. Hopefully he can carry her in some way. That looks decent. I hope
he doesn't. You know, if you've not got it, you've not got it.
Well, I don't hate her as a person.
I think she's... Anytime I've seen her in chat shows or anything like that, she's a very lovable person, very likeable. But
she's not a good actor.
I just think that such a big franchise, to start off, that's your first feature film.
Stephen, they did have history for that Star Wars. That's the final say. George always used to cast unknown actors. Carrie Fisher.
But Star Wars was unknown at the time.
Yeah, it was unknown at the time, to be fair, So, but they were probably trying to harken back to that.
I think so.
Kickstart a new I mean, even the MCU's done it. Chris Hemsworth was an unknown at the time. Chris Evans was an unknown. It's only really Robert Downey Jr. who was the main guy. And Jon Favreau had to get him in that franchise to be the linchpin, the emotional linchpin, the acting linchpin, to carry that Infinity Saga. Everybody else who was put in, Chris Pratt, apart from Parks and Rec, they were all minor, up-and-coming actors, and they were gave their chance. So it could have worked, but it didn't. Nothing worked right. It was a shambles. Yeah. And that's down to Kathleen Kennedy.
Just before we move on to our next topic, I don't know if you saw the sort of sly digs from Pablo Hidalgo in terms of one of these guys that does the reactions. He did the Mandalorian season 2
Star Wars
finale.
Feedy guy. Baldy guy.
Well, it was a guy that was very emotional. And
he's good.
Pablo Hidalgo had put out a tweet saying you should not share your emotions or something like that. You know, it was a bit of a cheap dig at these people that obviously showing very
a fan like that.
Well, you know,
Steve, he's made fan movies that are better than the shit we got in the sequel trilogy. I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't think it's the same guy, John. I'm not sure.
Is it not?
It was a guy that was very teary watching, obviously, Luke Skywalker's appearance. If you've not seen it,
Star Wars Feedy. I'll search him up, Steve, and see if it's him.
It was this chap here. That's him.
Yeah, Star Wars Feedy.
Yeah,
huge channel.
Yeah,
2.76 million subscribers. This is what's wrong with Star Wars these days.
John,
they're attacking their primary demographic.
I think it's butthurt. I think he's butthurt. Pablo Hidalgo is butthurt.
They hate the fact that people love Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
They just cannot fathom that he is Star Wars. He's the most popular character, and he always has been. It sticks in them.
Yep.
That really riles them up. They wanted to kill him off. They thought, we'll end this character for all. We'll make him a joke, a hermit on a rock. People are still attracted to him because he is the ultimate sort of hero in cinematic history for me. The arc he goes on, it's a classic hero's arc. Everybody can connect with this guy. Doesn't matter if you're a female, a male, you're Hispanic, black, white,
John,
Asian. It doesn't matter. You'll connect with this guy because it's universal.
You know the best bits about The Force Awakens was when Finn and Poe were in that cockpit escaping, saying they've got the map for Luke Skywalker. It gave you chills, right? Han talking about Luke Skywalker gave you chills, talking about he was my friend, you know things went wrong, blah blah blah, and then that closing scene in The Force Awakens, still one of the best cliffhanger moments of any film, never mind just Star Wars. And I'm talking about Empire Strikes Back here as well. It was just an amazing shot, great score as well from John Williams, the Jedi Steps I think it was called.
Yep.
And then the best bits in The Last Jedi were all Luke Skywalker's bits. The best bits in The Rise of Skywalker was all the Luke Skywalker bits.
I tell you this, I maintain The Last Jedi was a stupendous performance from Mark Hamill. I didn't like the way the character was handled. There was elements I didn't mind, but that acting performance from Mark Hamill was sublime.
Yep.
One of the best of his live action acting career.
I totally agree, John. I absolutely
as you say, some of the best moments, if not the most of the best moments in that movie were him.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they've misjudged it, and I've actually Pablo Hidalgo's went down my estimations. He's part of that clique, I think. You know,
he's had things before.
Yeah, but I've kind of ignored them. I've seen the ones where he's dragged in Dave Filoni in terms of where they could have went with Leia and how she would have schooled Luke and all this kind of thing. I don't think that's really that important.
There's nothing wrong with Leia being the chosen one. That was George's vision as well.
Exactly.
But it's the way they handled it.
No, but you know, Dave Filoni would have handled that well. Pablo Hidalgo, on the other hand, would be dealing with it because of an agenda, which is the wrong way to do it, you know. But listen, that rant is for another day. John, I was going to try and squeeze that in, but we've kind of covered it as much as we can. I'd love the bitch to call
me out, I tell you that, because you'll get some Glaswegian wrath.
Yeah. I think perhaps, you know, that Favreau and Filoni are not that much bothered about the writing group. I think what they've done with The Mandalorian proves you have to listen to your fan base. You have to listen to the people that pay the money to watch your films and take an interest. And they didn't. That's the bottom line. Exactly. But we're going to move on anyway, John.
That was long.
It was a bit of a rant as well, and sometimes you need to get out your system. But Movie Web,
got a lot of pent up hatred for what they've done with Star Wars, Stephen. Absolutely.
The Mandalorian is slowly making me come back to Star Wars, John, because that was a great production. But
it was.
Martin Scorsese, unsure if he can find the spark to make his next movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese is trying to get his creative impulse back to make his next movie with Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio, Killers of the Flower Moon. Just read a little quote here from Scorsese, John, and then I'll let you in. 2020 is taking a heavy toll on everyone's mental health. Yep. Between work getting shut down, constantly worrying about the global health emergency, and interminable bouts of self-isolation.
Pandemic.
Same here. Few people are feeling at the top of their game mentally or physically. Martin Scorsese, who was supposed to start filming his next movie before the lockdown postponed the shoot, admitted to Empire that he is no longer sure if he can get back to work with the same energy. I had this to say: I like that people appreciate my previous movie, The Irishman. I was very touched by that. This global health crisis has stopped a creative process. I turned it on myself, particularly the first couple of months when we were locked in our houses. It eliminated a lot of distraction. I have to find a way to get back to a singular creative impulse for my new film, the way I had for The Irishman. Cut away all the award ceremonies, all the stuff, and get back to being in a room alone with a project and wondering if I can do something again. John, I don't think it doesn't sound like he's actually doubting himself here. And in fact, I actually take positives from this. Take away all the sort of red carpet stuff and all that, and all the the highfalutin stuff and mingling, schmoozing as they call it. These people are making films, they're writing films, and sometimes this kind of pandemic situation may suit a lot of writers out there that have to lock themselves away. They've not got a choice. But sometimes if you're not out and about and you're perhaps maybe a people watcher, Ray Davies, I'll give us an example, John, wrote most of his best work with the Kinks because he was a people watcher. He was out socialising, watching people's...
Steven, it's like Lemmy.
Yeah,
Great
exactly.
Comedian from Glasgow.
Yeah,
Absolute hero
sometimes here. You need that social interaction to inspire. In the case of Martin Scorsese, it doesn't sound like writer's block to me. It sounds like, he's just trying to find that inspiration and that drive to get his movie, obviously back up and running. When you've got Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio involved in it, I don't think that's going to be very difficult for Martin Scorsese to have another hit on his hands anyway. A lot of people didn't like The Irishman for some of the technical stuff, but the story and obviously the performances you couldn't fault, and obviously the writing as well. Yeah. I don't think Martin Scorsese will ever have a problem writing a good story or translating an already existing story into a film.
Stephen, I think what he's in a sense saying here, and you're right, I don't think it's a negative. It's not as negative as the actual headlines making it out to be. What he's saying is, I've still got the script here, I'm still involved in the process of the script, and I've not forgotten how to direct a movie overnight. No. I've been doing it for about 50, 60 years or whatever he's been doing it, maybe longer. Yeah. He's an old guy now. And I know for a fact that DiCaprio's been working with the script, the actual screenwriter and stuff like that, and they've been making changes, and it's still... Yeah, I don't know if it's in production yet. I think it's maybe still in pre-production at the moment.
I think so. I don't think it's
that far along. And they're still making little changes. Because I recall speaking about it, the writer conceded some points to DiCaprio, changes for the character. He wanted it to be a more meaty, darker performance. So I think what he's saying here is, and he says it in the actual quote, the creative process, it stopped during the pandemic. He was locked away. He wasn't doing his usual stuff, maybe going through his usual routine. Yeah. And what he does for prepping for a movie. So he has to get back into that zone, find that itch again and get it scratched, and then get right into making this movie. I've got no doubt in my mind that when he works with DiCaprio, it's like what I says, I'm going to commit blasphemy here and compare Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg.
Okay,
they shouldn't be together. But when these guys get together, something magic happens, and I'm pretty sure De Niro's involved in this. He may not be.
He is, yeah.
He's involved in this. De Niro's involved in this. So this is going to be a stupendous movie, man. You can't have that talent. A guy like DiCaprio who picks and chooses his movies, very careful. He's obviously seen something in the script, and who's working closely with the screenwriter, making changes to affect his performance. You're not going to have that kind of talent, that kind of interest from the talent and the director, and not have a good movie at the end of it. And like you says, a lot of people shat in The Irishman, says it wasn't a great movie, it was boring, yada yada yada. These people don't have the concentration, the attention span to appreciate what he was doing. He was telling the story of a guy's entire life from the sort of perspective of being in a housing, a home, a nursing home.
That's right, yeah.
And things being changed, and it was a poetic story. I loved it, man. It did drag on a bit. I had to watch it in 2-3 sort of
John, I was stuck in a plane, so I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
But it didn't really. I didn't get that experience. I was just so engrossed in storyline. I really wanted to see where it was going as well. and the characters were so interesting, you know,
and that was a passion project from Martin.
Yeah,
10
John,
years
and,
in the week.
and I can go back. I can go back and watch certain scenes, especially with Stephen Graham and Al Pacino. Some of the best scenes you'll see in a film are from those two guys. Robert De Niro, on the other hand, was very underwhelming, I felt, in performance. But I think he had to be. You know, he was the man carrying the story along.
He was a connective tissue.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Pesci's scenes were amazing. You know, every time that guy spoke.
It is what it is.
Amazing. You know, it's so quotable as well. You're late, you know. For a meeting, a dress and a suit, you know, that kind of thing is amazing.
In New York in summer.
it's just great. It's so quotable as well, and that's down to the writing. You know, that's down to Scorsese. I don't think he's got any doubts, and I think you're right, John. I think the headline is probably misleading a little bit, but we're going to move on, John.
Even he made a documentary about lockdown.
Yeah,
he made a documentary.
Okay,
from his home, sort of doing a sort of diary-like thing of lockdown and how it was affecting him. So
if I can come across that, I would like to see that. Yeah, he's a very interesting man. But we're going to move on to our final topic, John. This is we're just covering some Indian cinema here, and this is coming in from livemint.com. Cool name, their website, and it's cinemas pin hopes on South Indian films for early 2021. Now, John, I'm going to just read a little bit of this because my pronunciation at this time of night is bad at best of times. But I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to just start with the New Delhi theatre owners. Here we are. Across India are pinning hopes on films in South Indian languages to kickstart 2021 and build on the process of recovery started by Hollywood titles Tenet and Wonder Woman. Beginning with Tamil superstar Vijay, action film Master, which we reacted to, a great trailer, also being dubbed in Hindi, and all set for Pongal release. I hope I said that right. There are 3 Telugu, am I saying that right, John? Telugu films, Crack, starring Ravi Teja, Ram Pothineni, Red, and Alunda Adurs, starring B. Sai Srinavias.
Jesus.
I'm sweating.
Nabha
Natesh and Anu Emmanuel. I'm just going to read this a little bit here as well. Exhibitors point to the mass appeal of these commercially entertaining films that they hope will reach out to audiences across geographies, including geographies, it's late here, including the North Indian belt. These films are generating buzz across the country, is evident in the fact that the 10 most tweeted about film movies in 2020, according to data from Twitter, which we talked about the other week there, are movies in South Indian languages, including some upcoming titles for 2021 such as Master, Tamil film Sarurai Potru was also the second most trending film on Google in India in 2020. Now, John, from our perspective, I always feel that your sort of first quarter of a new year is very important, not because of the Oscars and all that. I'm talking about across the board. Have we got a comment there? Is that something that's just come up? I don't know if that might be Twitch. No, it's yeah, here we go. No, please not. Can someone get Jenkins away from Squadrons, please? Well, we can't. But we'll try and have a word.
I tell you what, her acting in that video, that reveal was terrible, man. She wants to just continue directing. She's getting no career in acting.
Yeah.
Wow, she didn't sell it. Stuttering and stammering and just terrible line delivery, man.
Yeah, you can tell why she's a director.
Hopefully her directing of Squadrons will be better than that reveal, the acting, because it can't be any worse.
But India's no different, John. I think that first quarter of any sort of year, new year, is very important to sort of really hit the ground running. So that's why I'm saying it's not just because of Academy Award buzz and all that. I think obviously that in the Western world that is the sort of agenda for films being released at certain times and stuff like that. But and I would say that anywhere in the world for award ceremonies it is a bit of a strategy to release films. But for moviegoers who are not really that caring about Hollywood or anywhere else patting each other on the back for awards. For audience members, it's always a great lift, I feel, to have some blockbuster films out there after, the come down of obviously here in the UK of Christmas and New Year. January is a long month, John, in this country.
It's going to be very long.
It's very dark. It's very dreary here in Scotland. The best of times.
And we can't go out.
And we can't get out. We're in lockdown. So it's always good to see. And, you know, it's evident here as well, John. Master is one of the films I'm looking forward to seeing. Just because, not just because of the trailer reaction, but obviously because of VJ's involvement in it as well. We're starting to get to know the sort of big players in Indian cinema, and
Shahid Kapoor,
you know, and
Devgan,
yeah, exactly.
Yash,
you can rhyme them off, John.
Singh, Shirak Khan,
you know, and we are all looking forward to reacting to Chapter 2 of KG
and VJ.
Telepathy. Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think. Is it Sorura Potru? Yeah. Another one we're looking forward to as well. But what's your take on this, John? Do you think it's important that these films are, you know, some of the big films are released early on in the year?
Stephen, it's highly important for Western world and Asian world, Eastern world, whatever you want to call it. I'm terrible at sort of analogies and things like that, and just sayings in general, as you'll probably understand if you've watched me before. God awful at it. But it's incredibly important that there's a rebound next year after this pandemic is struck, and it's really decimated the exhibitors, the theatres. There's not been enough bodies going through the door, enough eyeballs, you know, on screens. They've posted huge losses, the likes of AMC.
Yeah.
2-3 not trillion, billion dollars. Is it billion? I think I even doubt it fathoms. It just does. I can't quite get my head around the fact that there's so much in debt, but I'm pretty sure it was $2 billion in debt, and that was only halfway through this year. So they really need to have a rebound. We need to see bums in seats. We need to see a rebound, and the best way to get that is to have a huge array of big, exciting movies coming out. And certainly in India, you've got the likes of KGF Chapter 2, as you said, Master, Sarari Potru. There's a couple of other ones. That one with the two opposite guys, World War One, rising up to be rebels. I think it's Triple R.
Yep.
We've got a lot of big movies set to release next year. And just from my perspective, having watched very few Indian movies, I've really just tipped my toes into the water tentatively, can't speak. Seems to me that the south of India may be biased, because we've been criticised for reacting and speaking about South Indian movies too much. We should give some of the other areas a bone, but it seems to me that the best movies seem to come out of the Telugu and the Kannada sort of speaking regions. So maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just a gonk that doesn't know enough about Indian cinema, but it seems like Bollywood's getting absolutely destroyed in the comments from people and stuff like that, and the south of India is really on a roll.
If our community keeps us right on these things, then we'll, you know, follow your lead, you know. But at the moment, you know, we only react to what is obviously put in front of us to, you know, to react to.
What was the one with the eating at the table?
That was the one.
We get done for copyright. The only channel in the whole of YouTube to get our movie or our reaction removed from YouTube. We had to mute the actual reaction. Every single other channel. And then we get
criticised from people saying we'd muted it.
Every other channel still get the reaction up. No issues. Ours get absolutely destroyed. So maybe it's just the face. It's like John Lennon all those years ago. Maybe it's just the face. I don't know. But also,
John, you've got to look at it from the sort of the Indian, the Indian industry, film industry as well. You know, for box office, you know, and obviously the economy. Rajendra Singh Jadal, the Chief Programming Officer at Inox Leisure, had this to say. As we have clear visibility of the release announcements of some major South Indian titles, the performance of these films will not only help us resume the recovery cycle, but would also generate confidence in the industry for other content producers to plan their releases. Add this to add, South Indian movies have an aura of their own, and therefore will definitely have a role to play in the overall recovery process of the industry. So you've got to look at it from that point of view as well, John. We naturally look at it from an audience's point of view and how we want to be entertained at the start of the year. They need this. But they need it, they definitely do.
Exhibitors need this. They need it over here. And they're not going to get it over here. Because all we are getting at the beginning of next year is Peter Rabbit, Mortal Kombat or some shit like that. Just terrible movies. We're not really getting big movies until April time. And even then, the way things are going, we may still be in a form of lockdown restrictions in place. They may not get the financial aid from movies being released and people going back to theatres that they need. So it's nice to see, at least in some part of the world, India in this case, that it seems like there's going to be some form of recovery and that we're getting a lot of big movies coming out, and the theatres are going to get a rebound, a bounce, if you like. So, well, I'm looking forward to it, man. We've dipped our toes into Indian cinema, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. So I'm looking forward to Master, I'm looking forward to Vikram, I'm looking forward to KGF Chapter 2.
That's what I was going to do. We've got a nice message from the production team as well,
Yes,
letting us
lovely.
know when that trailer's going to be released very shortly. I don't know if we can say, don't know if it's been announced,
I wouldn't say,
I wouldn't say,
just
John,
in
but
case.
very much looking forward to watching that and reacting, and obviously putting it on our channel.
Yeah,
but
she's...
the other thing as well, John, I've noticed at the end of this year is how many, from the trailer reactions, how many good movies are out at this time. I don't know if it's a strategy, if it's, award ceremonies or anything like that, but certainly I noticed the sort of rise in quality and quantity of films being released probably from October onwards. New films, because when we started this journey, John, we did a lot of recommendations from the community for older films, but as we draw close to 2020, I felt that we've been reacting to more up-to-date films, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, I'm Steve, but look, I can't add much more to it. Hopefully they do have the rebound. Hopefully the Southern Indian movies save the entire subcontinent, because certainly, as it says in that article, there's a widespread popularity, most tweeted about movies. Telepathy seems to be an absolute living legend over there. We know the likes of Prabhas and all of that are as well, these sort of pan-Indian superstars. So hopefully the South Indian movies save their arses, and hopefully someone can save the arses of cinema over here, because it certainly wasn't Christopher Nolan. But look, man, that's going to round it up. What was your thoughts on the array of topics we touched upon? What do you make about Patty Jenkins returning to bookend the trilogy, direct Wonder Woman 3? We don't have a name yet. What do you make about Mark Hamill paying beautiful tribute to the late, great Carrie Fisher? What do you make about that Star Wars novelist trying to rewrite the script of The Last Jedi? Do you think it was god awful? Was it something you were interested in? Do you think it was a great idea? Finally, what do you make about whatever else we spoke about, the Indian cinema industry and it potentially being saved, and Martin Scorsese try to find a creative spark for his next movie, Killers of the Flower Moon? I had to read it there. Memory's getting worse. If you've got anything to say about any of the topics, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and give us a follow on Twitch if you're somehow watching this either posthumously, does that even make sense, post show or during the show. Give us a little follow on there as well, man. We need all the help we can get. But look, until then, guys, I'm going to bid you farewell for bye bye.